This is a piece by Lua Hightower. She is going to do about 6-7 minutes. You can find her work on SoundCloud/Sufi Chick, and she has her CDs for sale. So please help me introduce Lua Hightower.
Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin Nabiyil Ummi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin Nabiyil Ummi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.
I'm going to bring up Abbas very quickly. He is the director of GAMA. Everything you've seen put together, him and his crew, his team, have made this all happen from nothing. I remember 1 year ago when this was all just a vision of his, and seeing it come into reality and putting his force into the world and making it happen is very impressive. After he speaks, we're going to take a short break because we're going to need to do a little bit of rearranging. I'm going to walk you through it, and we're going to need to get some of the speakers over here. And at that time, if you want to get portraits and henna and auction on the art, we'll have a chance for that. But first, I'm going to have Abbas come on up, so please give me a round of applause for the director of GAMA, Abbas.
It's something that is understood. If you go to a random person in the street and you ask them about the Muslim story, I think we all have some idea of the kind of stories that they're going to tell. Are these stories truthful? Are they well-informed? Are they well-intentioned? Not often. And the reason why is because the people who are telling these stories and putting them out into the universe, into the world, into the media, are not Muslim. So if we don't support our creatives, the writers, the musicians, the comedians, the photographers, and if we don't push Muslim creatives into this space, then who's going to write our story? Are we going to stand back and watch it be written for us? Because that's what we've been doing for the longest time. But it's time to change that. And hence the name of this event is Building the Muslim Narrative, is because it is up to the Muslims to speak truth into the narrative.
So we took the best and brightest, most amazing performers that do the monthly thing at ICCNC and invited them to perform here. Before we do that, we're going to invite Reshma up because she also has a Muslim Artist Initiative. She's going to speak to that a little bit and then we'll get started. Please help me introduce Reshma.
I work with the ICCNC on its arts program. I know some of you from there. And I just wanted to mention that we are drafting a proposal for the Kenneth Rainin Open Spaces Foundation grant. And I'm developing some ideas on how we can take Muslim American artwork outside, so outside of walls, galleries, ICC space. Outside, we're looking at ideas that might use the facade of our building for digital projections, to do pop-up events, as well as activate some of our cultural neighbors, including the Oakland Library, the lake space, and OMCA, which is nearby. So we're in just the development stage right now, and so some of you have done work like that or have ideas for ways that you think the Muslim American narrative can literally engage in public spaces. And if you have any thoughts, feel free to chat me up today.
So, Muslim Artists Collaborative, we're going to get started with that. Then we have two comedians. Then we have Sharif Zakut and Omar Effendum to wrap it up. We're going to try to get this all done by Maghrib, inshallah. So we're going to keep things going. I'm not going to interrupt too much. So this is a superstar that you may know very well from the ICCNC days. She kills it as a poet. She's been doing it since she was a child. She has a book coming out soon. Instagram handle is at Fatty, F-A-T-T-Y, by B-Y, Fatty, F-A-T-I, like Fatima. Fatty by Fatty is the title of the book. It's her Instagram handle. Please give it up for Fatima Mekkaoui.
I've thought a lot about belonging, longing, surrounding, and topics being centered around fitting, leading in thicker skin, belonging, seeming true to freeing to the soul, woven into two by the cloths of the pages of our torn out chapters of this book I now owned. Never felt good in my skin, this skin ache into the kin I now lay in the blood that dried on top of me to feel this. Deeply rooted factors of condition into factions I grew deep from. Inhaling with every exhale, it's like exhaling has now become the new intel. Teaching breathing, but what is a breath with no body that can provide a home to? The slowly tapped out rhythmic movements of the chest because it hurts with this weight I all of a sudden hold. But how could belonging feel so painful? I thought this was meant to feel good, but now I'm sore. Not used to this comfort in this crisis, belonging, but suddenly they don't. And suddenly I unfold, because my freedom is intertwined and held in their hands, captive until they captivated our attention. And my intention is that I am not the only one free, but we are all free, dreamers, believers, freedom fighters. Belonging sometimes feels like slowly ripping out a Band-Aid. You know it's where you want to be, but the discomfort precludes your ability to feel free. Belonging isn't a singular phenomenon, not enough to get me into the door, not enough to get we into the door, enough to tear down the door. Open accessibility, let's talk access. Access, wealth and access, diversity this, diversity that, take a shot, let me taste that. Metrics, I want stories. Stories, I want humans. Teach-ins, lean in, let me teach you. Our people aren't just added color like food coloring, looks good but still tastes the same. Not a checklist, not a mark list, not a pretense, get tense. Diversity of thought, diversity of knowledge, culture. See, culture has no culture if ventured, sought out for. It comes organic. Take off, mask off, quick fix, rooted in deep reflection, starting at our youth. Diversity in talent, in the arts. Bring arts, showcasing culture here. Not talking about it, but being about it. We are it. You want to revolutionize your space? Then add space for my people, our people, free sense, common sense, that no substance in absence, seat at the table, grant us the label, light the candle, allow this fire to set fire, burn the books that dictated histories of lies, where they lied, the dead bodies. I feel like I just don't belong. Like belonging is a pass that you pay for, and some get in for free, some sort of VIP, a celebrity, basically not me. Instead, I'm stuck with this immigrant tax. An angry diatribe.
Next up is Yassnonymous. Give him a round of applause. How's everybody doing today? First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for this opportunity to perform here. I appreciate it. This first song I wrote, it was in response to the martial law that's currently in the Philippines, in Mindanao, that the people of, the Moro people, the Muslim nation there is basically, the martial law is ruling them right now. So I wrote this in response to President Duterte and the current martial law in the island of the Philippines, that the Muslims are being persecuted. Whenever you're ready. Time mixed with injustice causes us to distrust what's within, to the point of no return. Will we ever learn? The incandescent message through systems of oppression, groundwork to seamlessly stop stressing. Presidents ignoring the pressures of broken promises led me to disbelief, debating whether or not you're a traitor. Having your armies picking up the guns to side with the capitalistic nature of martial law dictators who internalize situations and halt the negotiations. We're not even deemed official enough to sit at your table, enabling generations of hatred to continue for capitalistic gains. Notions of U.S. imperialism whom you promised that you didn't even support. It's not otherwise seen as lies by your criticizers, yet even though by your side on oblivious to continue about cultivating, you continually lie. Martial law evidently driving a fork in between deep inside our lives, and we constantly cry because our rights are not defined or remotely even on your mind. Bombarding us all with freedom with endless drones, which ensure screaming and the calls on the phone to find out if our children were illegally killed on their way home. Let's represent the masses, eradicate enforcing regimes which are fascist, breaking promises and distracting with martial law instead of attacking the root cause, which is capitalism. Filling the prisons infested and ridiculed with trusted individuals who stood up for rights, and now you call them political prisoners. We the people will not be silenced or sacrificed, continuing the fight for inalienable rights. Goals aligning with the revolutionary movement, no time for excuses, nonetheless, defended against countless imperialists. From the proud Dutch to the Japanese, the Spaniards came and left, now trying to squeeze using U.S. imperialists against the world-renowned fundamentalists, while funding media to construct terrorists. Our home is no scene for imperial regimes. History makes us neglect who uses war to dominate, subdue, and militate for imperialistic endeavors while claiming to protect us, using excuses of insurgents to own global resources in every third world nation. Time mixed with injustice causes us to distrust what's within, to the point of no return. Will we ever learn? We the people can see the fallacy of democracy when it is used as a ruse to give people goods, but in turn our young farmers can't even grow food, instead learning how to defend this land from you. Global people of color, remember each other. We have similar struggles but many fronts. Teach one another to use love and discover. No need for greed and the capitalistic hunt for most is where the heart is, neglecting the relevant circumstances that made us a part of where we're living, being slipping peculiar. None of us chose to be born here, none of us chose to be oppressed, or even be the oppressor. Learn a lesson, take a brief history of this great nation, set its sights on colonization. Columbus was cool with every fool, till they didn't do what he wanted them to do. Control. What controls you? Play the part, be smart, get it where I fit it, that's what I was taught. But I don't fit in the role, so perhaps I am not fit for this home. Where you lay your head at night, are you safe and satisfied? Or have never-ending tears, trying to conquer all your fears? Where you lay your head at night, are you safe and satisfied? Or have never-ending tears, trying to conquer all your fears? Never had a night I wasn't terrified to close my eyes as a child. Nothing made me happier than lighting up my mom's eyes. Yes, I meant taking a hit or telling a lie. I do it several times over to protect the one good thing in my life. Be it rhyme or reason, speaking the truth shouldn't be considered treason. Social normalities don't nominally bother me till it comes down to my family. Now there's a tree if one wishes to climb or cut it down like we did with so many lives. Starting with my grandfather on my daddy's side, that fool was illiterate but still made up his mind. Landowner signing documents with his thumb. Out came his son, #1 businessman of the year. Presidential awards, yet full of fear. Continuously beating his kids and wife. Similar story to so many around the globe. If a man has property, successful business endeavors to prove his worth, see, women want a man with a plan, even if they are from Pakistan. Manifest destiny has spread like a disease. Men sell their souls to build these homes, and when they can't deliver on standard of living, then they're seen as mooching, deadbeats, straight tripping.
Narratives of communities of color and Muslim communities, which obviously intersect often. On toggling. Between cynicism, I am still and seeing, and ambition. I'm bustling and blind. The result? I run in circles, I run in circles, I run in circles. This year, I am learning to live with that which is worse than being stuck between nations, coasts, worlds, peoples. I am learning to live with running in circles formed by the negative spaces of Eastern and Western coping mechanisms. It is the honor and curse bestowed upon us to carry traumas and survival tools of the land that grew us and the land we grow. I run in circles between cynicism, the promise of occupied men, surely God's bless must be suffered for, and ambition, the promise of occupying men, surely the American dream must be real. I run in circles, far from the promises of my womanhood, free. In toggling, energy is lost, toggles wear, and I learn to live. Mike is a nice man. He wants to help, but Julia's advice is to no avail. She looks like my aunt, my neighbor's grandma, heck, my mom. I never liked fake Chanel scarves, hung in every stall in Cairo's cloth bazaars. For myself, too tacky. How do they bring me peace when adorned on the heads of my women, my mothers? تحكي عربي? I can help. It's simple. عنوانك بكندا؟ كم يوم بتضلي بكندا؟ She will tell me, of course, that her daughter lives in Burlington, and I will fill the boxes accordingly. All the letters have to be capital. I remember once the officer sent me back, said my handwriting was too messy and that I had to capitalize my letters. Take off, she grips the seat and trembles. Mike wants to pat her shoulder, but he is scared. What if this is an invasion of her space? Mike is a nice man. He wants to help. He keeps his hands away and smiles instead. She does not smile back. I hate aisle seats, by the way. She sits in 13C, I in 14B, an aisle seat. I tap her shoulder from between the seats. She must not have heard me the first time. حضرتك بتحكي عربي? Do you speak Arabic? It is as if I spoke Russian to a Frenchman. Her face is blank. Our women, my mothers, are so pained, I was sure she would respond. Ladies and gentlemen, we are preparing for our descent in Toronto. She grips the seat again. Mike fastens her seatbelt, and this time he pats her shoulder. Thank you for choosing American Airlines. This world has forced foreignness on so many of my mothers, I cringe at the mention of choice. I smile at her as I leave, and I wish she would smile back. To expect a response, how ignorant of me. To think only of the pain of mothers who speak my tongue, how unjust of me. To want a smile back, how selfish of me.
Give it up for Lobna. Aman is up next. We're going to keep it going. Aman Falol, come on up. And then after her, Sarah Ismail. Woo! Here we go. Give it up for Aman Falol.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Aman Falol, and my vision is Listerine. It promotes me to smile. The growth of my flow from a river to an ocean is departing from the Nile. Confident my style. Watch me put a cap on all the whackness. New era. Hear me out, yo. Hear what I'm saying. Like DBZ, my sayings are the infinitely super. So super. So super. Super on the mic. All the brothers get smashed. How y'all doing today? That was just a quick introduction. Could you understand me? That's the important part. I'm glad you could. So that is where I started, right? Just talking a bunch of randomness, you know, just trying to build up my confidence, and that's where my writing started. So, but I'm gonna ask the people in the back. You know, it's kind of hard to be up here, and I was back there trying to listen. I couldn't hear much. So if you're in the back and you're talking, please scoot up forward, be intimate with us, listen, give people some space. It's important that you listen. You don't know what you're going to hear, so at least give it a chance. You don't know what's going to affirm or make...
Before we bring our final Muslim writer, I just want, if you're sitting down, to wiggle in your chair a little bit, move your legs. If you're standing, I know how it can be with Taraweeh and whatnot, just move around just a little bit, get loose so we can pay full attention. After Sarah goes, we're going to have two comedians, and then we're going to have our musical performers, Sharif and Omar. Thank you for your patience and your quietness. And let's do one head roll. Bismillah. Squats if you're back there, go ahead. Now's the time. All right, help me introduce Sarah Ismail.
Speaking of bad kids and du'at, رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. I can't actually say that out loud. Every time I speak, I say that in my head, but since we're at a Muslim gathering, that's awesome. I'm 5 years old, and I'm in my bathroom in San Jose, and I'm completely drenched in water. And I think, oh no, I'm gonna get in big trouble. You see, my dad, he had just bought those bidets, the ones that are like guns. You know what I'm talking about? And my favorite thing to do was to open the shower curtain and just spray the wall. But then I realized that the range reaches the ceiling. And so for the first time ever, I created artificial rain. And so I quickly put the bidet down and ran out to the backyard so I could dry up before my mother found out. My mother doesn't take her long to see this, and she asks, "Min amal kida?" Who did it? And I point to my sister Noura, who was 1.5 years younger. Noura did it. Noura's about 3.5 or 4. And Noura says, I didn't do it. And my mom says, because you're lying, you're gonna get punished twice. Because I'm the eldest and she believes me. So many of you think I'm good, but I was actually an evil child once. That night, I'm lying in bed, and I think, my parents give me food and a place to sleep, and they love me, but I don't give them anything in return. So I make the assumption that 1, they're either naive or dumb. 2, as soon as they find out this equation, they're gonna kick me out on the street. So I decide that night, at 5½, I have to be good. I need to make sure they like me. A few weeks later, my dad brings my favorite pie, pumpkin pie. And I look at the pie, and my instinct is to take the biggest piece, but I think, no, I'm gonna be good, and I take the smallest piece. And a few months later, I'm in 1st grade, and our teacher says, okay, kids, we're going to write cards for our moms and dad. And she sees I'm struggling, and I can't put pen to paper, and she comes up to me, and she's like, Sarah, what's wrong? She refused to call me Sarah, but that's another story. And I say, well, if I write Dear Mom and Dad, then Dad will be sad because he came second. And if I write Dear Dad and Mom, then Mom will be sad because she came second. If I write Dear Mom at the top and Dad at the bottom, and she stops me, she says, Sarah, it's okay. I'm gonna teach you a new word. It's called parents. And so that day, I was the only child in 1st grade that had a card that said, Dear Parents, I love you.
Thank you. Sarah. You know, we're all here. We don't just want to entertain you. We want to give you some tips and tools and tactics and things you can use in real life. So before I bring up our 2 lovely comedians, starting with Sana and followed by Huda, I want to give you some things I've learned, some things of what to do and what not to do. So one thing you shouldn't do, if you get a job and have like icebreaker games, don't tell the truth, okay? Save that for here. I'll tell you the 3 questions I was asked as a practicing Muslim. If you could meet any famous person in the world, alive or dead, who would you want to meet? I was like, so many famous people. If you could bring one book to an island to read for the rest of your life, what book would it be? It's hard, so many classics. What to pick? I don't even know. If you could go anywhere in the world to travel, where would you want to go? Mecca and Medina is where I'd want to go. The Quran is my book, and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is my famous person. Thank you. Do not do that. That's why we have these events. We do that here. Our first comedian is a very talented senior presenter at AJ Plus. You've seen her many times if you follow the stories. She is a wisecracking dinner host. She has some of the best Instagram posts I've ever seen at Sanaface, S-A-N-A-F-A-C-E, at Sanaface. Please give it up for Sana.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. All right, first off, I just want to issue a bit of a correction because my boss is sitting in the audience. I'm not a senior presenter. I'm a host and producer, just so it's clear. Also, I feel like Sarah's like looking at me like, what did you tell them? Also, second of all, I hope y'all laugh because I did put on pants for the occasion. So you know about that life, right? So, first off, is everyone ready? There's a huge crowd back there. Like, y'all look kind of small from back there, but from front. Okay, all right. Peanut Gallery over there was having a good time in the back. So. All right, so how many of you guys know about this now infamous story of, and by the way, I'm starting with a poop joke because it's 2017. Yeah. Hashtag women can do anything. So how many of you guys have heard about this Tinder date poop story? Oh, it's gonna be good. It's okay, guys. It's gonna be real good. Okay, so this is my favorite story because everyone's like, oh, this is gross. I promise you it's really good. So this is the kind of story I want to tell like my daughters one day if I have a grandchildren. I just want everyone to know this story. So here's how it goes. 2 people meet on Tinder, as it goes, and they go on a date. It's great, they're having a good time, and I guess then they go back to the dude's place and they're just kind of like chilling, talking, right? That's what they do, I guess. And all of a sudden, the girl's like, She has to go to the bathroom. So she goes to the bathroom. And it's not number one, it's number two. Right? I think I gave that away when I said it was a poop joke. So she goes and she sits down, as you do, and she lets it drop, as you do, and she realizes, like, oh, this is too big to flush. Where I'm like, damn, how much fiber was on that date, okay? So she does what any self-respecting woman does on a first date. She takes her hand. Oh, it gets better. She puts it into the toilet bowl, and she grabs it, and she sees an open window, and she throws it out. But it gets better. It does. It really does. So, turns out, now I don't know how, like, this is in the UK, so I don't know how windows work there, but it was so I was trying to visualize this, I'm like, I don't understand this. So it was a double pane window, so you got one window and two windows, and there was space in between the two. Yeah, you know where this is going. So she threw it, and it ended up in between the two panes, meaning it was stuck in the window. So if someone walked in, they would have seen it. So she did. I know, I'm sorry. So she did what any self-respecting woman would do on her first date. She took her hand, and then she took her body and went in after. She was a gymnast, and I guess she was super tiny, hashtag not my issue, but she went into the window pane to grab it and got stuck. She got stuck. And then she's like, this sucks. Calls a dude, guy walks in, sees a woman stuck in the middle of his window with a poo in her hand, and he did what any self-respecting man would do on a first date. He took a picture. Now, here's the best part. Now, eventually they had to call the police, they let her out. It was like, oh my God, it was a thing. But eventually, I mean, there's a part where it's just like, wow. So eventually she got out, and they went on a second date. And I'm like, I can't even get a guy to text back. Like, damn, man. Like, what do you need to be doing with poo to be getting a second date? What is going on? So,
the next and final comedian before we get to our presenters, or performers rather, Huda Abdulrazik is the funniest contributor on MissMuslim.com. You can catch her Instagram handle on Huda Laughs, H-O-D-A, Laughs. Give it up for Huda Abdulrazik.
Hey. It's lit in here. For y'all in the back who can't stop talking, I need attention, so please stop talking. I'm also like ADHD, so any noise will just distract me and I'll completely lose my train of thought. Anyways, hold on. I know I have funny stuff to say. I'm just kidding. So this is my first time doing stand-up at a Muslim event, so I apologize in advance if my jokes are offensive at all. Anyway, so it was really cool that my name was introduced as Huda, because I've spent most of my life introducing myself as Hoda, like soda with an H. Which is so sad because my name, Huda, means guidance in Arabic, which is so beautiful, but I've watered it down to a carbonated beverage, which is pretty sad. Yeah, so how about the election though? I was super nervous. I thought I was gonna get deported back to New Jersey, which is where I'm from. It's so cold there, people are mean. Like, you walk around here and you say hi, and people say hi back. In New York, it's like, why are you talking to me? Why? But yeah, I don't always disclose that I'm from New Jersey because I always feel super judged, and the first question is always like, oh my God, you're from Jersey, like Jersey Shore, can I call you Snooki? No, you can call me Hoda, like soda with an H. Anyways, so I'm pretty new to the Bay Area. I moved here like a year and a half ago, and recently I went to Baker Beach for the first time. You know where this is going. So it was cool. It was like a Sunday. There was a bunch of white people doing yoga with their dogs. And I was sitting on a chair, just like admiring the beach. I love the beach. I'm a shore girl. I grew up in near the Jersey Shore, not Snooki. My parents are from Alexandria, so I like to say like the water and the sea like run through my veins, you know? So I'm sitting there just like, it's so serene and I'm enjoying it. And I hear Despacito playing and I'm like, yeah. So like I turn to look and there's this big black brother holding a speaker playing Despacito and wearing nothing. And I could not stop staring. He was like standing at attention, literally. I was like, what? Why does it look like that? But yeah, back to my mom. So when I moved to the Bay Area, the first thing I did, obviously as like a Muslim woman, was get a Christmas tree. I never had one. So my mom, as soon as I posted on Instagram, she's like all up on her gram, you know. I think she gets notifications when I post. She called me and she was like, Huda, are you a Christian now? No, Mom, I'm doing this for me, not for Jesus. Love Jesus, but it's for me, it was so shiny, cute. But my electric bill went up. So, joke's on me. But yeah, I'm gonna leave you with this. One thing that my mom always said to me, like I would go out or whatever when I lived at home, or now when I go to visit, I go out and like just time escapes me with my friends, and next thing I know it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. And so I pull up to the driveway, turn my headlights off like a mile before I get home, pull to the driveway. I don't even lock the car, because you know if you press the lock it like beeps and shit, like that's. And I'll like be sneaking up the stairs, and I like get to the top and I'm like, yes. And then I look over and my mom's sitting on the chase, holding her Quran, reading Quran, and she looks up at me and she says, are you a whore? It's 3 o'clock in the morning, only whore come home this time. Are you a whore? And I have to remind her that my name is not Horda, it's Hoda, like Soda with an H.
All right, welcome everybody to this GAMA event. My name is Sharif. I'll talk more a little bit about me as we go on. I consider myself a cultural worker, so what I really like to do is get everybody involved in the pieces that I do. So for this first piece, I'm actually gonna just spit a poem, and I think some of you have heard this before. When I say, they think it's a game, y'all reply, they think it's a joke. All right, let's try it. They think it's a game. They think it's a joke. They think it's a game. They think it's a joke. To all my homies and my comrades, tonight let's hold it down. It's already bad enough that we have to deal with one orange clown. But that throne has always been corrupted, built off the bones of slaves and natives. Remember, we walk on stolen land. This country never exemplified greatness. Displacement, as a matter of fact, is making its current rounds. The city claims it loves me, but its policies hardly seem any sound. What's sanctuary even mean when I'm getting pushed out by gentrification? I ask this because I'm suspect of both overt and covert racism. The baby is disappearing, as is the Excelsior in the Mission. The homeless population's rising, as are the numbers in the prison. Just listen. My liberation was never in images of American flags wrapped as hijabs. The same flags printed on the bombs that shake our lands as the empire expands. What happened to our anti-war movement? Did you leave it when you were fed empty promises of change? I need to ask this now because I need to know, for you this is a task or a game. They think it's a game. They think it's a game. And the canvas tells a story of false narratives and language, painted in our anguish, so I tear apart this fabric. Keys stay in this pocket till these Zionists vanish. Vanish from the pages of your public school textbook. That's the state to war is territorial. Hear the testimonial, surviving these times in the system so colonial. I'm a product of displacement. Yeah, I said displacement. Colonizer liars talk a lot, but they don't say shit. Too much oppression, I won't stop and just quit. Confronted head on with a rock in my fist. It's a bonfire, turn the lights out. Who's that terrorist they really can talk about? It's a bonfire, turn the lights out. Mixed blood is the the son of an immigrant. Migration should be beautiful, but not if you are forcing it. Holding it in blood, cause our DNA imported it. From the legacy before displaced it, then distorted it. Our histories are food, agriculture, and language. Bodies on the line, resistance they try to vanquish. First time through a checkpoint, a rude awakening. Knowledge of the force made me want a lightsaber. Swing this whole thing, of course. Tragedy over travesty. Honestly, it's a blasphemy. None of us living happily. This fantasy, masterfully giving you all this apathy. Financially constricted really pushes our capacity. It's a bonfire. Turn the lights out. Who's that terrorist they really can talk about? It's a bonfire. Turn the lights out.
How y'all doing? Yo, it is a pleasure to be here. It is an honor to be here. And it is most definitely a responsibility to be here. Why do I say that? I say it's a pleasure because I always love getting the opportunity to come back to the Bay Area. Make some noise for yourself. I say it's an honor to be here on behalf of GAMA and the Muslim Writers Collective. This is really such an important thing for us to be doing right now. So many people are trying to hijack this narrative, the narratives that make up this narrative. And I think the more we make it a point to create spaces like this, the better off we'll be. So make some noise for GAMA. I say it's a responsibility to be here, not just because I'm Syrian or Arab or Muslim or American or any of those things, just because I'm a human being who believes in equality and justice for all people, full stop. That's what drives me in my work. That is what I heard in the voices of the artists and the speakers and the comedians and everybody who came up on this stage tonight. And so I thank you. I know how difficult it is to come up here and to give a piece of yourself, to be vulnerable, to show people a side of you don't normally show. I do that often, but it never means that it's easy. And so, thank you, and thank you, and thank you, and to everybody else, and of course, thank y'all so much. With that, is it a clock or is it a bomb? Is it a poem or is it a song? I've been making music for over a decade and yet they keep asking me if it's haram, brother. Go ask your mom or an imam. I'd rather the former, but that's just my preference. So here's a suggestion. Pick up the Quran. It's for those who think, bro. Ulil albab. Reflecting upon this heavenly reference, we ponder and question as many a blessings from husbands and wives to nations and tribes. Striving to know one another's the lesson as tolerance beckons at every petty divide. 'Tis better to settle with egos aside, but what hangs in the balance is more than our pride. It is lions and rhinos and tigers and eagles too feeble to hide when solar flares can choke the air and roast the hairs of polar bears who've grown so rare but floating over there. It's hopeless, no one cares, but don't despair. The coast is clear for those who know how to cope and share with open hearts, not evil eyes. For Mother Earth, she will survive. We live in love with hope and pride that Mother Earth, she will survive. We push and shove, we poke and pry, but Mother Earth, she still survives. And even if mankind should die, this Mother Earth, she will survive. Our Mother Earth, she will survive. Our Mother Earth, she will survive. Oblivious to all the borders men and ignorance create, fumbling over nation states that crumble when tectonic plates are rumble. Warning signs to keep us humble as we boldly procreate, segregate, then subjugate her from the deserts to the jungles. Wow, presidents and kings keep building statues of their arrogance, and religious zealots argue over arbitrary narratives, reducing God to a facade to make you think that the imperative is how you dress, the way you pray, or maybe what names you've inherited. Look, such games are embarrassing. Trivial to truth seekers who've been living their lives convivial, searching deep within for proof. Our teachers keep us in the loop, a generational gravitational orbit towards our precious youth, forever true. Prophetic reapers of the seeds we've sown, our health is our wealth. Poetic martyrs preach to each his own as life's longing for itself is in the eyes of sons and daughters, grand and great. The hand of fate is not a palm read by a psychic or a psalm read by a saint. It is the labor and the action and the work of decent men. It is the seconds and the minutes and the hours people spend preparing for our next of kin. For mothers, this is second nature. It's the brothers who lose sight and start these wars that complicate her. We push and shove, we poke and pride, but Mother Earth, she still survives. We live in love with hope and pride that Mother Earth, she will survive. And even if mankind should die, our Mother Earth, she will survive. This Mother Earth, she will survive. Our Mother Earth, she will survive. Make some noise for yourself. Yeah, right? Free. Haifa, Yafa, Akka, Gaza, Ariha, Ramallah, طبرية، رملة، جنين، صفد، بيت لحم، القدس من الصحراء للجبال, and every Philistine hood around the world where boys and girls are taught to eat bitch before they walk, learn to zuckling before they talk, where the threes ain't just some art, it's part and parcel of a lifestyle that connects them to the roots of olive trees and orange groves with thuggish settlers point and shoot. Yeah. Being brainwashed by a birthright, bankrolled by my taxes, committing war crimes of the worst type, emboldened by some fascist leadership, too blind to see that these apartheid walls erected prevent us all from being free. So God bless the BDS and solidarity movements, journalists, academics being blacklisted for views that pose a threat to this establishment, and it's on the news. No author clues we've lost already, the risk of way too much to lose. Now I said, clap your hands, y'all. Yeah, one day we'll say Palestine, Palestine will be. Yeah, comments. Yeah, one day we'll. Yeah, say free. Listen. A nation state is not salvation, no matter how much you defend it. Dialogues without some patience or disagreements never ending. Religious men who are not humble only play themselves pretending. They alone have all these answers, mixing messages they're sending. Was it Ismail or Isaac? What is asking Mr. Point? Will it be Jesus or Elijah? Why would Allah disappoint? Look, if you know death is inevitable, let nature take its course. No homicides or suicides are open heaven's gate by force. For what is life without a struggle? But a hollow shell of dullness. Why be Jewish, Christian, Muslim if you don't believe in oneness? Adonai is not a realtor or a predatory lender, not a judge who can be bribed or a crooked criminal defender. He is kindness and compassion, justice, mercy, fairness and togetherness, and of all praiseworthy, the creator and sustainer of the moon and stars above. La ilaha illallah, hallelujah, God is love. Say God is love, God is love. Say God is love. La ilaha illallah. Say God is love. God is love. God is love. One love, one love. God is love. God is love. God is love. God is love.